Okay, we are live, but we got to let it breathe just for a second to bring on the Facebookers. What would we do without our Facebookers? We just got to be patient, boys, for a second here and girls, and we'll get this party started. Lots to get to. I mean, Saturday night shows are always crucial, but this show in particular, golly. All right, welcome in, everybody. It's the Orange and Blue View. I'm Chad Jensen. You know Ron White, the host of this show. Ron, dude, we have some serious reactions to get to. We learned today, well, first of all, we've been waiting for almost a week now for the other shoe to drop on J.K. Dobbins. He got the second opinion. Hey, he didn't go on IR on Tuesday with Karine Reed, so that's maybe a silver lining. Turns out they were just waiting for additional results. We learned today, done for the season. Most reports say he could come back if the Broncos make the Super Bowl. So first and foremost, your reaction to the news.
Yeah, it was unfortunate news today, Chad. I mean, as you mentioned, we were just waiting to see what the results were going to be. Based on what happened at the end or near the end of that Raiders game. We were all kind of bracing for the worst, although he did come back in to finish. But when you saw him put out that tweet after the game with the hip drop tackle, you kind of know it was a little bit more serious. So, not good news at all, especially, what he has done for this offense. I mean, there are times, Chad, he actually is the entire offense. So, that's going to be a blow. But, while he, recovers from that surgery, this is time for RJ Harvey, Tyler Berde, Jaleel McLaughlin to step up to help this run game. But, wishing nothing but the best for J.K. Dobbins.
I know, man. It's welcome to the NFL. Let's go time for RJ Harvey. Um, David McElrath, the Papa Bear, jumped in early with the super. Thank you, big dog.
Thank you,
Great to
David.
see one of our Mount Rushmore superstars in the house and a dear member. It says, good evening, Broncos country. Hashtag God bless the USA. Hashtag 13 and 4 plus, 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 plus. Thank you, Papa Bear. You the man. Shout out to all the members in the house. M. Blex, David Yunkin. Good to see you guys. Don Olmstead, also a dear member, throwing down a generous super. Thank you, my friend.
Thank you.
And by the way, Don, it's really good chopping it up with you on X. So keep that interaction coming, big dog. He says, good evening, guys. It's RJ Harvey's time to shine. And if Denver plays like Oklahoma did today, we win. I think they can. Go Broncos. Yeah, Ron, how are you feeling about, I mean, I know you got your official prediction in on the Mile High Roundtable. I would say this week about the staff was pretty well about halfway split. Half just don't see the Broncos winning this one, living to fight another day type thing at Arrowhead later this season. I picked the Broncos by a single score. You picked the Chiefs. So you and I were split on this. Break it down, buddy.
Yeah, I just feel as though Chiefs somewhat, backs against the wall. I just think they're going to find a way to win. Now, obviously, I would like to be wrong. Hopefully, the Broncos can get it together on offense, because I do believe, as far as Chiefs offense against the Broncos defense, they match up well. But part what went into my score prediction, Chad, is just how the Broncos have looked on offense lately. But if they can turn that around, I do see a victory for them. But I just have to go with what I've seen more recently, and I just think Spags, Andy Reid. We know what Andy Reid's record is coming off a bye. I do think a lot of factors are going to come into play, and I just think they're going to find a way to get it done at the end. But again, I could be wrong. Hoping I'm wrong.
Yeah, exactly. Anytime one of us on staff just calls it like we see it and we don't see the win, it's not because we want to see the Broncos lose. It's because it's just our job is to be as objective about it in these selections, these picks and predictions as we can be. But yeah, there's a lot kind of going in the Chiefs' favor here. The coming off the bye, Andy Reid's only lost 4 times ever, all that stuff. They're as healthy as they've ever been this season with one blemish, and that's Pacheco's out. But nevertheless, they're healthy, like all their key guys, and especially their receivers, healthy and available. So the Broncos are definitely going to get their best shot. And as you said, Ron, backs against the wall, desperate. They can't afford to be hitting week 12 at 500. Not this team, and not in an AFC West that's got the Broncos and the Chargers. This current iterations of the Broncos and Chargers. So yeah, dude, I think, Don, if they play well, if the offense figures things out, I mentioned this earlier today while I was doing Broncos book club, which we didn't spend any time, by the way, talking about the book. We talked only about Dobbins because it had just happened. But I listened to most everybody knows I'm a John Gruden fan. I love John Gruden. And since he's been doing his Barstool thing of previewing games, anytime he does one of them as a Broncos preview, I watch it. And so the Broncos Chiefs preview by Gruden, I'm about 3/4 of the way through it. I've been listening to it today while I work. And something he said about Bo Nix, really, I found, Ron, you brought up the slow offense thing and all that, really interesting. And that is that he just looks like his clock is off when he says hut, and he gets the ball and he drops back. In other words, another way of what he was trying to say is that he's rushing, that he's skittish, a little bit of the yips, to where he's not hitting his back foot, bobbing, letting the routes develop, using his eyes. He's really anxious out of the gates. And it ends up actually, in a lot of ways, making us, Ron, think like when a ball comes and it's dropped by the receiver and it hits him in the hands. It's not maybe a great pass, but it hits him in the hands. You're like, they should have caught it, and they should have. But it's because it's out of rhythm. It's because it's disjointed. And that was his point. That was Gruden's point, is that Shawn Peyton has got to figure out how to calm Bo Nix down. And then, Ron, once again, all things become possible.
Yes, Chad, you summed it up perfectly. It's about having the game, slowing the game down for Bo Nix, because, you see him just rushing, and that's where the bad footwork comes into play. And he's, leaving clean pockets. And that also bodes for a lot of these inaccurate passes. So again, there's blame for the receivers for sure. With several drop passes by Evan Ingram and Troy Franklin, but I think they can also benefit from Bo playing a much cleaner game. And I think if you can kind of slow down that clock a bit, I think that'll help Bo stand in the pocket and deliver the throw when the feet are set. Yep. I just feel as though it's a lot of times, Shad, where I feel as though he's just so afraid to take a sack. Like
that's
really
what he brought up.
Yeah,
that's what Gruden said, by the way. He goes, I think he's so focused on not taking a sack that he's not letting the routes develop.
Yep. And so he just wants to avoid the sack. And again, that's why you see him leaving it so early. Just getting the ball out of his hand when you kind of need to, kind of survey the field more, step back, survey the field, go through your progressions, because this is a top-rated offensive line. They're going to protect you.
Yeah.
So it's just a matter of you, kind of settling in, so that you can deliver that throw a little bit more accurately to kind of better help this offense.
And at a point in the route that it has developed per the scheme, as per the design, if you're dropping back and throwing to a route, for example, because you're rushing even if you're under pressure and you're rushing it, or if you're not under pressure, as Bo has often been in this last couple of weeks mini slump, and you're throwing it early, the receiver's not ready for the ball yet. That kind of stuff is what's creating this disjointed stuff. Thank you again, Don. Monica jumping in on Super Chat. Thank you, Monica. Great to have you. She says, hey, guys, Massachusetts gal here. Awesome to hear. # state of being. Now that Dobbins is out, we must play like the Power Rangers. So Bo Power Rangers. Hope Bo has a good game. Denver Broncos for life. Sweet. Nice. Love it.
Love it.
Thank you, Monica. And by the way, in Massachusetts, want to invite you, become a member on YouTube. MHH, we need you. But thank you so much for the support. And yeah, man, that's the thing, is Dobbins you talked about it earlier, Ron. Dobbins has been such a blessing to Bo Nix throughout this season. I mean, the Broncos ranked 9th in rushing. Individual level, J.K. Dobbins currently has the 5th most rushing yards in the NFL. And R.J. Harvey, if you minus his 2 huge runs, he had one of 50, one of 40. So that's 90 yards. He's got 214 total rush yards. You minus those on I think it was 25 carries. I'll double check it, but basically it amounts to 2.5 yards per carry when you take out those 2 big runs. Now, you don't do that. There's a reason why it's called an average and all that. But with such a small sample size, it's pretty glaring that he's not really getting it done aside from a couple of big ones.
Yeah. And again, Monica, thank you so much for coming in. We greatly appreciate you. Yeah, and again, that's where you hope, more snaps, more opportunities for Harvey. He can be more efficient in the run game. I mean, we see what he can do, kind of like a lot of those wheel routes, out of the backfield and in passing, which is good. But we kind of need to see him more in between the tackles. And he's going to get his opportunity, and hopefully he can make the most of it. And again, it's not just going to be on him. As I mentioned near the top of the show, Monica, this is going to be a collective effort with Tyler Bidet. Now, I know we all, or most of us, are not the biggest fans of Bidet, but he kind of really has to, make some hay here with the Dobbins injury. We kind of know what Jaleel is. But it's kind of be good to see him back, in the lineup to provide some juice. But yeah, I think this is going to be, Tyler and Jaleel making sure and helping and supporting RJ Harvey as he now gets more snaps.
Well said, Monica. Thank you again, my friend. Ronk, really appreciate you, buddy, saying good evening, Chad and Ron on Orange and Blue View. Go Bo Broncos. A dear member. Guys, lots more to get to. Couple quick matters of business. First thing, C. Chang saying, is this 2 live streams? So real quick, earlier this week, StreamYard made it possible and highly recommends to, when we live stream to YouTube, we can live stream the traditional landscape format that you guys are used to seeing us. And then also the vertical format, which reaches the shorts feed / algorithm, and they recommend it. And so when we do go live now, what it does is it creates 2 actual live streams on YouTube running at the same time. And you can always tell which one is which, because one headline at the very end of it will have a little phone emoji on it, so you know that it's a vertical. So some people like watching it that way. Some people are used to the way they're used to seeing it. I'm giving it a test run for just this first week of its existence to see not only how you guys like it, but if it makes a difference in the algorithm, all that stuff. We got a couple days left of the test, so bear with us. That's what the vertical, what you're seeing on that side of things is. All right. Now, before we get back to the chat, guys, football's still rocking and rolling. We're inching closer to the holiday season. And if you're still figuring out gifts, House of Atlas, guys, it's the no-brainer. All right. Absolute no-brainer. Perfect for your brother, your roommate, or even yourself when someone asks what you want and you don't necessarily feel like having to think about it. Their grooming kits make it simple to clean up, and they actually look as good on the counter as they feel in your hand. The razor's weighted handle and the precision trim edge make it effortless to get a smooth, clean shave every single time, which is something, frankly, most razors just don't do. And the best part is you can grab them now at Target stores nationwide or online at target.com, so that, again, when you get asked, you don't have to think about it.
Yeah, that's right, guys. Atlas is redefining men's grooming with top-notch tools and products designed to make you look good, feel good, and actually perform well. I love the razor because it feels solid in your hand. It's not flimsy like disposable razors. And the precision trim edge makes detailing under the nose, sideburns, and edges simple and precise. Beyond the shave cream and aftershave elevate the routine with their refreshing and subtle signature scent, making grooming feel a little bit more like your self-care routines than just your normal or average chore.
Pardon me, guys. So don't stress on last-minute gifts or settle for shaving products that don't deliver. This holiday season, give yourself or someone on your list the upgrade they deserve with House of Atlas. You can get it at Target stores nationwide, or of course online at target.com. And we're back to the chat. Much love and respect, guys. Ronk says Nick Wright is back at it. Pardon me, making fun of the Broncos. not beating the Chiefs on Sunday. Well, that hasn't happened yet, right? That's the future. So let them hate. Let them hate. George Fox on Facebook. Good to see you, buddy. Thank you for the support. He says, I think we can still win, but it'll be closer than we like. Broncos for life. Hit the thumbs up, guys. Yeah, I mean, what I'm about to say goes, well, then why did you pick the Broncos to win? You might think, but it is a lot to overcome this particular week, Ron, without 3 starters. Dobbins, we knew Dobbins was going to be missing this game. But Dobbins, Pat Surtain, and that kind of does make me nervous because the Chiefs, their offense has figured it out, and they've got all their dudes healthy, including Worthy. And then, of course, Singleton. Now, I'm not as worried about Singleton, but again, not to hang every hat here on the arguments and observations of John Gruden. But Ron, he really, and he's a coach, he's an NFL coach many, many years. He knows how the sausage gets made. He was very concerned about the Broncos losing their defensive signal caller. The fact that he's the green dot guy, the fact that when you have that responsibility as the green dot guy, Ron, you know, you're doing all kinds of stuff from getting the play in your ear, telling it to the guys, making sure guys are lined up. You're sneaking up to the line of scrimmage, pre-snap. You're listening to their play calls. You're seeing if they're changing it. You're relaying that stuff to the defensive coordinator. You're giving out keys and tips to all the guys. Like, you have to be a Superman, basically, to rock that green dot. And it could take some time, Ron, if he's going to be out extended with his cancer diagnosis, for who I think is going to wear it. We won't know for sure till tomorrow because no one's talking about it. Shawn Peyton doesn't want to give anybody a competitive advantage by telegraphing. I'm guessing, Ron, it's going to be Justin Sternat.
Yeah, that would be my guess as well. And you're right. I mean, it's going to be hard regardless of who wears it. I mean, there's probably not going to be Dre Greenlaw. He hasn't been in the fold too long. And then Justin Sternad, yeah, he's had starter snaps for sure, but you know, Alex Singleton has, you know, been the longstanding member, you know, as far as the inside linebacker group goes. So I know Sternad mentioned that, you know, he's getting as much info from Alex Singleton as he can to kind of get those signal calls on the green dot. But, you know, it's still a hard and tough responsibility. So it's going to be interesting to see, you know, how that unfolds. You know, I do trust how Sternad has played. You know, when he's been out there, he's been very good.
Yep.
And we already know what we saw from Greenlaw. So, you know, I do have faith the inside linebacker group will be solid tomorrow. I think the one that, you know, which I knew he wasn't going to play, although I think we all selfishly wanted him to, Chad, is Patrick Surtain.
Yep.
I think that one that impact's gonna be felt just because, you know, just how the Chiefs receivers are. We're dealing with Rashid Rice, Xavier Worthy, you know, Hollywood Brown, you know, how they have speed and how they leak out. It's it's going to be a tough matchup. So, you know, Jaquan McMillan, Jade, Riley Moss, I think obviously with Hufanga as well, and Brandon Jones, they're just going to have to step up. But I do see what Gruden's saying, that the signal caller one can be a bit much, but I think for me, it just would be nice to have PS2 there. I think that one's going to be the one for sure.
Man, no doubt, especially going against Mahomes and this receiving core. I actually have the most confidence about Kelce than I've had in a long time because of this new plan they've rolled out for tight ends over the last, whatever it's been, 3-4 weeks, using Jade Barron as a mismatch weapon, you know, he's big enough and physical enough to run with these guys and not get just thrown out of the way. But he's also fast enough to where he can really blanket them in coverage. And it's worked really well. Perfectly, no. But they started rolling it out in terms of, I'm pretty sure, man, the first time I really recognized it was the Dallas game. And they shut him down, man. Ferguson was held without. That makes me feel a little bit better. Now, let's keep our expectations in check here. Kelce's going to get his, right? Like, Patrick Mahomes, that's his security blanket. That's also his dog. The ball's going to find him, especially in the critical moments. But I like the Broncos' chances this time around at really being able to hopefully limit the tight end. Phil, what's going on, brother? Great to see you. He says, good evening, Chad and Ron. 3 players I'm watching tomorrow: Bo Nix, RJ Harvey, and Nick Bonito. If they play consistent, we've got this game. Hashtag Buckham, MHH for life, Broncos for life. I love it, dude. I agree. And one thing I'm really hoping for, I'm like praying to the football gods, please, is give us a fast start on offense. I'm not saying 21 first quarter points, but Ron, if you think back to that, whatever it was, week 10 or 12 game last season when the Broncos should have won that game at Arrowhead and the blocked kick and all that, that game was in Denver's hands almost throughout because Bo Nix got into a groove early. They got 2 touchdowns on the board in the first half that really put the onus on Mahomes and company and the defense, Broncos defense, which is, it's maybe a little bit better this season, but it was still very good last year. They were able to just pin their ears back. Mahomes was trying to throw it, and he didn't really start making headway against the defense till about the third quarter. They got the lead back at the top of the fourth, and then by the time Bo Nix got the ball again, you got the 4-minute offense. I'm going to run it, and he did exactly what he was supposed to do, drove him down, made some plays, and then, of course, the blocked field goal. My point here, starting fast against this Chiefs team, Ron, is going to be really important. Doesn't mean if they don't start fast, they can't win, but it's the best way in terms of the Bronco formula, maximizing what that defense can do pressure-wise, all that stuff, to get up and be productive early.
Yeah, and I do think the best way to start fast, Phil and Chad, I want the Broncos to receive the ball. I think they need to make a statement. Receive the ball, get up on offense, and hopefully we can see a better showing from this offense. Obviously get RJ involved with the running game. Bo can hit some nice intermediate passes to just kind of get this offense flowing, because I feel as though with that strong start, it'll kind of put pressure on Mahomes, Andy Reid, to kind of keep scoring. And to what I was going to say, the guy I'm watching mostly here, Phil, is Benito. I am waiting for a nice game, hopefully a multi-sack game from Benito. I think he'll be lining up against Josh Simmons, if I'm not mistaken.
Yep.
So yeah, I think, and Josh Simmons is okay, still rookie, but I do think, this is one where this, not only just Benito, I think the whole defensive line is going to have a day. We saw what happened in that first matchup, as you mentioned, in Arrowhead last year. But yeah, I'm really looking forward to Benito to show for sure.
No doubt about it, Phil. It's great to see you, buddy. Thank you so much. Ronk is saying Jamal Williams is like RJ Harvey with speed. We have Jaleel McLaughlin to activate. Well, he wasn't on the practice squad. He was on the roster. He's just been a healthy scratch for all but one game. I was reminded of this earlier. The Broncos do have a running back on the practice squad, lest we all forget, Deuce Vaughn. Now, when you're trying to replace, even if it's takes a village or some of its parts approach, a true bell cow like J.K. Dobbins is. And I say that generally, or literally, he could be a bell cow on any team in terms of carrying the load. In a Shawn Peyton offense, what does that mean? Yeah, bell cow's like, if he's getting 15 carries, that's a bell cow in a Shawn Peyton offense. But to replace it, it might end up being some of their parts with the majority of the carries going to RJ Harvey, obviously. But if you're looking for that guy, because Shawn Peyton talked about it earlier this week, RJ Harvey's build, he's stocky, he's got the quads, 5'8", 205. He said he's, quote, built to last. But if you want a guy just in case, knock on wood, God forbid, anything happens to RJ, no one on the roster can be that kind of bell cow consistent guy. And that includes the practice squad. So they might have to go out and look for somebody. What are your thoughts here about Jamal Williams for Ron?
Yeah, I mean, I see what you're saying, Ronk. Yeah, I think they need to really find, if they're really looking for that ground and pound type of guy, someone of a Dobbins stature, that probably would require looking to see what else is out there. Now, Chad, I don't know if you're probably bringing up the list to see who's out there on the free agent perspective. I don't think there's much.
I'll pull it up. I'll see what I can find.
But yeah, I do think, to have someone come in to be that in between the tackles type of guy, you just have to find somebody else. But yeah, I'm curious to see. Again, we've seen spurts of Harvey in between the tackles. I do think if he's still not getting it done after these next couple games, they may try to look elsewhere to see if they can beef up that running back room. But um, I do think they're going to probably more likely need someone to come in to kind of be that workhorse.
Whoops. Yeah, we'll see. I said that same thing, Ron, earlier today. I said I think they're going to go this game. They're going to see how it goes with the three guys at the top of the food chain, and then they're going to, depending on how that goes, they might look elsewhere. So if they do look elsewhere, here's who's out there, guys. You got Zach Moss, who's 28, and Jamal Williams, who's going to be 31. Then there's Gus Edwards, 31. Amir Abdullah. Is he available? I thought Amir Abdullah was rostered. Hold on.
I thought yeah.
Yeah, he shows rostered.
He's rostered.
So Indianapolis Colts, why isn't it showing that? Anyway.
I guess they didn't update it. Okay.
Chase Edmonds, Travion Williams. I mean, of this list, Dante Foreman's a guy that I would keep an eye on because he's got some sand. You know what I mean? He's got that whole concern about bell cow. Like basically what right now, Audric Estime would really be handy, not to be the guy, Ron, but to have in case you need him type thing. Yeah. And they don't, you've got two guys who are under 200 pounds, and then you got RJ Harvey.
Yep, I agree. Yeah, Estime would have been perfect, as that complement to an RJ Harvey right now. But yeah, I mean, again, this list, Chad, I'm not, like I said, Foreman is intriguing. Maybe Gus Edwards is intriguing, but other than that, no one else on this list really kind of stands out for me.
So the pickings are slim is the point here, boys and girls, at this stage. So we'll see. I think the Broncos got to dance with who brought them, so to speak, at this stage. And here's one thing to keep in mind. If you cast your mind back to last season, and we're 3 weeks into this thing, Javonte Williams is just not showing that he's recovered fully still from the knee. It's slow going weeks 1 and 2. You get to Tampa Bay, lo and behold, Tyler Badie is running like a crazy. I mean, he's going off, and you're going, we found our guy. And sure enough, Broncos thought the same thing. Cut to the next week, week 4, Jets in that rainstorm at MetLife. He suffers just as he's getting his opportunity to kind of see, can he be the guy? He gets that gnarly back injury. He's basically done for the year. And so my point here, Ron, is that in a Shawn Peyton scheme, you could probably succeed with a Tyler Badie as your number one guy. Is it and we all know he's not going to be. This is not me looking past RJ. I'm saying like really just analyzing the depth of the room. He could be that guy if you needed him to. It just wouldn't be perfectly ideal.
Yeah. I mean, and he can. I mean, again, we, like you mentioned, we saw the flashes there in the Tampa Bay game and that Jets game prior to the injury. At that time, he was the best back that was playing last year at that time. But yeah, again, I think we'll see what happens. But again, it's going to be more the RJ Harvey show. And, it goes back to making the most of the opportunities. Even when he was out there, Chad, even catching passes, I'm like, I was like he was dropping passes as well. I just think if he can make the most of his opportunities, he can have more snaps, and maybe you can see him kind of be more, again, not workhorse, but kind of be more involved in the rushing attack along with Harvey. I also want to see more McLaughlin. I mean, I kind of know we already know what McLaughlin is, but I think Shawn is going more. Obviously, he likes Harvey and Badie more, obviously, for the pass protection. But even when McLaughlin was out there last year, he was running hard. Yeah. But yeah, we'll see what happens in the run game. But I'm curious to see more in between the tackle running from RJ Harvey with more snaps as well from the other guys.
I honestly think in terms of carry share, snap share, etc., I don't think you're going to see it be all that different for Bidet, believe it or not. I think the guy who becomes the number 2 now is actually Jaleel McLaughlin because of his experience in the scheme, because like RJ Harvey, the way they were using Harvey as the number 2, it's a little bit more up McLaughlin's alley. The Bidet thing is strictly he's been only a third down back. He's only carried the ball twice this year. Tyler Bidet, believe it or not, he's only carried the ball twice. So I could be wrong on this, and it could end up just being, 1 is Harvey, 2 is Bidet, 3 is McLaughlin. But I think McLaughlin, he's been a patient boy. He's kept his mouth shut. He's been down for whatever's best for the team. But it's time to reward him for his patience and give him some bites at the apple. Shannon Mills with the super chat. Great to see you, Shannon, a dear member.
Thanks, Shannon.
A bona fide superstar, especially lately. You've been on fire, man, helping us keep the lights on. Thank you so much. Good evening, Shannon says. Bummed out about JK, but I am optimistic about tomorrow. I think they want to put the NFL on notice. If they keep the penalties down, that will help the offense. Would love to see Jaleel have a huge game. Amen to that. And yeah, that's a thing. Dylan, we miss him. He's not on the show tonight, but Dylan had a great article this morning reacting to Mike Jones of The Athletic, who wrote up a piece saying, here are the contenders, here are the pretenders. Now, before I tell you what it said, I want to remind everybody, there are only 3 8-win teams in the NFL. Broncos are one of them. They also have a 7-game winning streak. So it's pretty clear to see that I can understand some of the fluky nature of how some of these wins, including the one, Ron, you and I watched together side by side at the stadium, how they've shaken out. But it's not a happenstance that you win 7 in a row in the league. It's just not. What he said was, I'll paraphrase him, Bo Nix, penalties, they're pretenders. Defense great, but Bo Nix struggling lately, all the penalties, Broncos are a pretender. And this game, there's a lot of people talking like that, Ron, about the Broncos, specifically, again, sorry, Bo, but because he's been in his mini slump, it's really opened up a can of worms. And the vultures, man, they are swarming. They cannot wait to see Denver just fall on its face moving forward so they could all run up and be like, see, we told you so. Bo Nix sucks. The sophomore slump, see, Shawn Peyton, it really is a thing, huh? You try to pretend like it's like doesn't exist. Well, see, haha. They can't wait. They're just like dying for that to happen. But Ron, the Broncos are aware of that. And if they defeat the Chiefs tomorrow at home, it will symbolize officially the passing of the torch. This is no longer the Chiefs division. Broncos got a stranglehold. They'd be 9-2, hitting their bye. Chiefs would fall to 500. So yes, Shannon, this is a statement game. It's a huge game. It's arguably the biggest game the Broncos have played since Super Bowl 50.
Yeah. And again, Shannon, thank you so much for coming in with the super chat. And I want to take the sentence before the last sentence, that if they keep the penalties down, because that's also another piece to this. Yeah, Chad, you mentioned, I think I think the feeling is that this defense is Super Bowl caliber, but will the offense be there to support them? And you can't say that as of right now, given what you've seen. But, this 7-game win streak, no one just gets lucky and wins 7 games, although that might come into play, from game to game. But this is a solid team. If the offense can get it together, I think you can start to see a little bit more consistency. And Shannon, definitely keeping the penalties down is key. I mean, some of the pre-snap penalties that we see are they're just egregious. So if they can, keep that down, if they can run the ball more, with RJ Harvey, if Shawn Peyton can really kind of help Bo with running the football more, and then if Bo can just settle down, I think those are, instant ways to kind of help this offense. And this game means a lot for the Broncos tomorrow. I think you'll see if they do win this game, I don't think all the noise is going to go, but I think you'll start to see it kind of calm a bit, and the Broncos can really reassure themselves as a top contender in the AFC, which is what they want to be. I know this
And
game means a lot for the Chiefs, but I know
yeah,
the Broncos definitely want to put a stamp on it and prove their point in the AFC.
and reassure the fans too, because
Yep.
we've seen it in the chat night after night. People, not everybody, maybe not even a majority, but there's a good segment of Broncos country that has genuine anxiety about this team right now because Bo Nix and the penalties, et cetera, et cetera. But Shannon, thank you, you legend. Appreciate you. Hey Pearl, good to see Pearl in the conversation. And Blex, Bidet has more drops than carries. Holy dude,
Yeah.
isn't that crazy? Where was Sentinel? I saw Sentinel Prime, and I think I skipped. Oh, Bo Nix needs to run the ball more, beat KC. How Mahomes beats people with his scrambles. That's another thing. The Broncos did really well last year in their one matchup with Mahomes. Was they kept a spy, like they sacrificed some numbers in the rush and in coverage at times, depending on what kind of look and package Joseph was throwing at him. But they sacrificed one guy in certain situations to spy Mahomes, and it really, really worked well. But man, it's going to be Ron. You can't let Mahomes do it. Like, I think he's second in the NFL in quarterback rushing yards,
Mm-hmm.
and
Mm-hmm.
you know he's just savvy with it too, man. Like one of the things that makes the things that make him as good of a passer as he is. I mean, the arm talent aside, what makes him as devastating as a passer as he is, as also makes him that devastating as a runner, and that was a poor way of wording it, but the fact that he just has that Michael Jordan-esque, Tom Brady-esque, but way more talent, ability when to see the crucial situations, he goes beautiful mind, and all the equations enter his field of vision, and the thing slows down, and he just knows exactly where the jugular is, and he goes for it. And he's just so good at that. It's hard to keep him. So, like, he knows when, this particular look on this particular play call I just got in from Andy Reid. I know that if my first read's not there, I know probably exactly where I'm looking to attack him. I'm just going to run it. I'm just going to take off. And when we're watching as it's going live, it looks just like off the cuff, like he's just winging it. But a lot of that stuff, Ron, he figured out before he said hut. You know what I mean? So the Broncos got to recognize that and trust. Vance Joseph does. Vance Joseph has done a great job defending him. I mean, he's 3-3 against the Chiefs, 2-3 against the Mahomes Chiefs as defensive coordinator. I mean,
yeah. He just, you're right. He just knows when to take off. He knows where that pressure is coming from, and he knows how to evade it. And you're right. Vance does a great job, keeping us by. But I think with this, they just have to understand kind of where their rush lanes are. But I think this is an opportunity also to what you just said, Centeno Supreme. Like, they need to use Bo more in the run game. I think this you haven't seen as much, and I know, Shawn Peyton wants to protect him. He doesn't want him going out there and running, but I do think you need to use him as an extension in the run game to help. So yeah, I definitely agree. Have him scramble. Some of those design runs for Bo can definitely help keep the defense of Kansas City honest. But yeah, I do think that might be a good way to do it. But yeah, it's just Chad. He's so savvy. Just getting out of those pockets. When it's muddy and there's so much pressure, he just knows how to manipulate it. And if there's open grass, he's going to take off. But if the Broncos can kind of keep a spy on him, keep everything in front of him, I think that'll kind of contain that a bit. But yeah, thank you, Centeno, for coming in with that comment.
And by the way, he's not. The Broncos beat Mahomes fair and square 2023 in Denver. That was VJ year one as DC. I still, in my mind, I think of that Arrowhead game last year as a win. It wasn't a win. It was a loss. Let's not forget. So he's 1-2. 1-2 as Broncos defensive coordinator against the Mahomes-led. I'm getting my numbers screwed up here, but either way, he knows how to get it done is basically what I'm trying to say. He does a good job. And even that game that they should have won last year, he called about as good a game as you could to limit Patrick Mahomes. I mean, what was the score in that one? It was both teams under 20. So
yeah, it was like 16-14 or something.
Yeah, 16-14. That's exactly what it was. Well done, brother. Okay. Moseying on here. Where are we at time-wise? We're doing pretty good. 40 minutes. Tomorrow, let me see something here. I'm just taking a peek here. Jonathan Sullivan, good to see you on Facebook. He says fans of bringing Lil Jordan Humphrey back. But fans of bringing a big boost for us. Yeah. So what did you make of that real quick on the topic of Lil Jordan Humphrey, Ron? Two things. They brought him back. And did you at all even think when they brought him back, ooh, I wonder what this means for Sherfield? Because they let Sherfield go today. He's gone. And he'll get claimed on waivers. And if he doesn't get claimed on waivers, he'll find a cheap deal to go sign somewhere. Like he'll be in demand elsewhere. But did you see that coming?
I saw that coming. So as soon as I saw the notification with Denver bringing back Lil Jordan Humphrey, I was like, this means that Sherfield is no longer for this team. And it's such a disappointment this year with Sherfield in the blocking game, Chad. He's not pretty good. And I mean, I know a lot of receivers have missed key blocks. I will say Pat Bryant has been solid, so I'm not really talking about him. But yeah, the receivers in the blocking game have been not the best, and his stands out. So I did see that coming, that they were gonna waive him when Lil Jordan Humphrey. And I know Lil Jordan Humphrey, does get some hate, but he is good with blocking. That's one thing. He knows Shawn Peyton's system to a T, and he is an excellent blocker. So having him come back to help in the blocking plays, I think is going to be good for this offense long term.
Yeah, it's kind of weird how 2 straight off seasons their wide receiver signing didn't pan out, didn't finish the season with the team, right? Reynolds last year, but his was due to the injury and then getting into that altercation that led to shots fired. That was a very murky. We still don't know, like, was he actually shot? It's unclear. But they parted ways with him about this time last year, maybe a little later in the season, and then now with Sherfield. So it's kind of curious because most of the Broncos free agent additions, the vision they have for that player pans out and then some. It hasn't worked out with wide receivers. But Humphrey, hey, man, it's not just the fact that he blocks, but thank goodness he can, because especially with JK being gone now, you're going to need every little seal that you can get. But Shawn Peyton talked about Humphrey earlier this week and said basically that, man, he's got an insane football IQ. And I've talked about him before as well as like just a glue guy. People talk about him like he's a Shawn Peyton guy, nepotism. He just follows him around, this and that. Well, yeah, that's true. But why does Shawn Peyton value him so much? It's because of that big brain. And when his number gets called, whether it's sealing an edge, catching a pass, etc., he does it. Now, is he at the very best at everything? No. He's a jack of all, master of none type wide receiver. But this week, he's going to come in handy. And moving forward, the guy who I think, Ron, is the X factor tomorrow is Marvin Mims, because first of all, I don't genuinely believe in, or I should say generally believe in coincidences. More often than not, those things that make you go, that's kind of a coinkydink. They're not a coincidence. They're linked. Something there, there's a linkage there. More often than not, I have found in my 45 years walking the earth. And it's no coincidence, thus being said here, that Bo Nix enters his mini slump. I wouldn't have guessed this, but enters his mini slump. The 2 games Marvin Mims is not available to the offense. So there's that. Mims is back. Then here's the other thing, Ron. What game was it last year that the Denver Broncos suddenly decided to get kind of crazy with Marvin Mims and use him as a running back and jet sweeps and all that stuff? the KC game on the road.
game.
So I think you're going to see some of that tomorrow. And I think that's a good thing because he can impact the game. And it can't just be horizontal, though. They can't just be running jet sweeps and screens. They got to use his legs to stretch the field because he's the only guy whose speed defenses really fear. Troy Franklin, they've really have the Broncos, Ron, tried to force feed his ascension as a bona fide guy. And he's had his moments this year. I want to give him his credit. But where it has not worked is vertically. He's been targeted 15 times on passes 20 or more beyond the line of scrimmage. They've hit 2 of them, and there's been 2 interceptions. So Marvin Mims, that should be the guy you're going vertical, unless you're throwing it to Sutton, Ron, for like go up and get it ball.
Yeah, I agree 100%, Chad. You can tell that Marvin Mims' absence was felt in this time because he gives you that opportunity to just spread the field. You know, he's just a playmaker in general. I mean, just how you can use him in those jet sweeps, those end arounds, coming out of the backfield, those goal balls, hitting you deep. I do think that element of this offense was missing. And, you know, at times, Bo, you know, I'm not really defending Bo here, but you can maybe see at times Bo didn't really know who to go to. Because now you've seen teams double Sutton. Now, I still think they do need to try to, you know, incorporate Sutton a little bit more than they have been. But yeah, you starting to do seems zero in on Sutton now. And obviously from that, you see that's where Troy Franklin is getting more of the targets. But you know, the inconsistently with Troy Franklin, you know, it's like he takes that 1 step forward, 2 steps back. And it's like, dude, you gotta have some football IQ and awareness in a lot of these situations. And he doesn't. So yeah, I'm looking for Marvin Mims to come back and definitely, you know, be a boost on offense for Bo. And I think, you know, given that we have, I think what Mercedes Lewis also was elevated. You know, I know Atkins is still out. So with Mercedes Lewis and Lil Jordan Humphrey in blocking, I do think this offense with more Mims, and I also want to see more Pat Bryant too. I think Pat Bryant has earned himself more targets. If he's in there, you know, doing a lot of the dirty work, he needs to get more targets as well, in addition to Mims re-entering the fold.
Fully agree. Mblex wants to know how much zone does Kansas City play on defense? So they play about 73%. They're in some form of zone, literally 73%. They're playing straight man, only 20%. And then, you know, they've got a few other different variations, middle closed, middle open, stuff like that. And this is via Sharp Football Analytics. So the Broncos, meanwhile, they play man 33% of the time in coverage and zone 62%. So for what it's worth, Bo Nix is going to be facing a lot of zone and a lot of kind of pressures, different kinds of pressures tomorrow. And one thing that makes me a little bit nervous is, you know, Chris Jones has kind of been a little bit quiet this season. He's still been very good. He still forces offenses to dictate, all that stuff. But I'm just hoping this isn't the game all of a sudden he like steps out and reminds the NFL who he is. I'm hoping to whisper past the graveyard or whistle, whatever. We got Bronx Steppin in the house with a super chat. That's a newer name. So welcome to MHH. Welcome to the manger, my brother, and thank you for the support. Do you think Shawn Peyton will relinquish play calling duties if the offense continues to struggle, or do you feel he has too much pride to let it go? I'm going to quote my partner on the Mile High Huddle podcast, Zach Kelberman, who says, Shawn Peyton will give up play calling duties when you pry the playbook from his cold, dead hands. Not so long as, like, it's seriously to Shawn Peyton, there's no difference between, like, you might as well fire him as head coach. If you know, like those two things, that's what he is. Like, nah, I'm called the plays. And I don't know why, no offense to you, Bronk, I don't know why it's become, there have been such a talking point. It kind of ebbs and flows depending on where we're at in the season. But this season, it's been a lot of talk about Shawn Peyton giving up play calling duties. I think a big part of it, Ron, this time around yes, there have been times where it's clear he's not been as good or savvy. A lot of it, in my opinion, is execution, but I digress.
Mm-hmm.
I think a reason it's so front of brain for the Broncos, for Broncos country out there, is it was so made public by the team that they had Joe Lombardi call preseason game 1. They had Davis Webb call preseason game 2. Shawn Peyton called game 3. And what was the big offensive explosion game? Game 2 with Davis Webb. So fans are like, man, that was sick. Jarrett Stidham looked like Tom Brady. Let's go. So, preseason, it's one thing, guys. You're going against vanilla. Like, opponents are not calling their defense. They're just running basic coverages, basic pressure. They're just out there. They want to see how their individual players play. They're not necessarily like anything it takes to win. If they can win, sure. But nevertheless, what are your thoughts here for Bronk?
Yeah, Bronk, thank you for coming in with the super chat. We greatly appreciate you. Again, newer name, like you said, for me as well. So thank you for coming in. But yeah, that's not gonna happen. It's Shawn Peyton, his ego won't let him. And that was a big reason they brought him in, not only be the head coach, but to be the play caller. So this is his offense. And I can see at times, Chad, when you're like, Shawn, what are you doing? Like that 3rd and 1 pass, in Raiders territory when they could have just run the ball. So you have times like that where you're like, Shawn, what are you doing? Like you're overthinking this, especially when the offense wasn't doing much at all that entire night. You call that. So there are a lot of those like situational calls. You're like, Shawn, that wasn't a good idea. But I will say overall, Chad, like the play calls and designs that he comes up with are pretty good. Like they're solid. Like receivers are open.
Yeah.
They're just not Bo's not executing. Bo's not hitting them. Sometimes receivers are running the wrong route. Sometimes you have these penalties that come up as a result. So I think if they can just clean up the execution portion, again, with the penalties and Bo being a little bit cleaner in the pocket with, some of the awareness from the receivers, I think this offense can take off. But yeah, again, Bronk, I don't think Shawn Payton's ever going to give up play calling duty just because, that's just his ego. He does have too much pride to let it go.
Hey, thanks again, Bronk. Don't be a stranger. We hope to see you back. Shout out here. Riley says he just subbed. Welcome. Appreciate you, bud.
Welcome.
And yeah, without the block kick, the Broncos sweep the Chiefs last year. I mean, it was totally there for the taking. Ronk said somewhere down here, we're about out of time, guys, so we got to kind of rapid fire a few more comments here, and then we'll dip on out. But who was it? I think, One Broncos podcast wants the Broncos to trade head coach Shawn Payton. And I'm not going to say anything other than I'm going to flash Mblex here. There you have it. No offense to him. But guys, let's keep things in freaking perspective here. It was the NFL desert. The Broncos lived in the doldrums. Use whatever metaphor you want until Shawn Payton got here. And with Russell Wilson, he won 8 games. He should have won 10, but 2 of them I won't get into 2023. But nevertheless, he won 8 games, which, by the way, improved the Broncos' win total by 3 year over year from the previous regime. Last year, handpicks his quarterback. When you handpick a quarterback and you basically open the way for him to be day one starter, which doesn't happen that often. It certainly hardly ever happens in Denver. I mean, the last rookie quarterback start day one was John Elway, 1983. That's a lot of years passed between 1983 and 2024. And if you're going to push your guy that you handpicked and boom, he's your guy, well, golly, you better get results. And he did, not just from the quarterback in terms of production. Bo Nix has a historic rookie season, rewrites the entire Broncos rookie history books, throws the second most, passing touchdowns by a rookie ever, he's the last quarterback drafted in the first round last year, leads them all statistically. Like you can't beat him unless you want to get into like completion percentage. Jaden Daniels had a higher quarterback rating, but I'm talking touchdowns, yards, total touchdowns, etc. Bo Nix. And by the way, Broncos win 10 games, go back to the playoffs for the first time since Super Bowl 50, snapping an 8-year drought. He now has your team at 8-2. You want to trade the head coach? Like, put down the crack. Like, no. What are you thinking?
Yeah. Yeah, it's just ridiculous. Like the way they're talking. And it goes back to, a lot of these folks, they're just not a fan of Shawn Payton and or Bo Nix. But, give it some time. Again, hopefully coming out of this mini bye, they can get it together on offense, to really kind of make sure this team stays within their winning ways. Think about it, Chad. I mean, it's Broncos are in talks to be the number one seed in the AFC.
Yeah.
So, trading, your head coach is just such a ridiculous thought at this point. So keep it in
And look,
perspective. I agree.
love and respect to all the Broncos pods out there. We got nothing but love, seriously, for everybody out there trying to grind and do their thing. There's more and more of them lately, which I think is really cool to see. So much love to whoever that is. And Ron and I just couldn't disagree more, obviously. Boot Boy, good to see you. We're about out of time here, so I'm glad you got one in at the 11th hour. We got a rapid fire Boot Boy and Tucson Phil here, Ron, before we run out of time. So Boot Boy says, we're going to show up and show out tomorrow. I want to be humble, but I have a feeling. Believe. I haven't been this nervous and excited in a long time. I know you get that, the butterflies feeling. It's going to be, as Pearl said earlier in the chat, it's going to be a great football Sunday for sure.
Yeah, thank you, Boo Boy, for coming in. It's going to be, it's a lot of nerves, but a lot of excitement as well. Again, this marquee matchup, nice divisional matchup. Romo Nance on the call, so it should be should be a good game. Hopefully, Bo takes off in this game and shut those doubters up.
All right, last one, then we got to go. Thanks again, Josh. Phil says, I find it interesting that Bo has taken advice. Lewis, a 20-year vet, saying that Lewis, has helped me through some things and changed my mindset on other things. I think that shows the maturity of Bo Nix. I'm not sure exactly what he's talking about. Ron, do you know?
I think he's saying that, okay, because I think they're next to each other in the locker room. I think Lewis and Nix, and I think he's saying like Lewis has given him some advice.
Sorry, I was trying to think of a quarterback. I'm like, huh?
Yeah, I think he's saying Mercedes Lewis.
Mercedes Lewis.
Mercedes. Yep, Mercedes Lewis.
So help me through. So Mercedes Lewis, a 20-year vet, has helped. Yep. That should have been the context clue. I suck at this sometimes. It's helped me through some things and changed my mindset on other things. I think that shows the maturity of Nix. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Mercedes Lewis, man, he is a nice asset, but they elevated him today. So he's now fresh out of elevations. They're going to have to waive him on Monday or sign him to the active roster, one of the two things. And I think it's possible they could sign him to the roster if he goes out and plays a clean game. The first game, he didn't play that much. He did have a few snaps. The second game, he played much more, had a penalty, maybe two.
I think he had two.
Two penalties. So play clean, do your job well, and maybe the Broncos want to keep you around.
Yeah. Good point here, Phil. Again, it does show maturity of Nix. Again, talks with Mercedes Lewis, and again, being around the league, he knows so much. He's seen a lot, especially when it comes to the tight end position and some of the schemes and blocking. But I do think having that presence, that veteran presence, helps him. So I'm glad that they're next to each other in the locker room. And again, hopefully Mercedes Lewis plays well tomorrow and helps out in the blocking game, because I know that's what he's good at. So, yep.
No doubt about it. All right, guys. We got to get winding down here. Thank you, everybody, for joining us on Orange and Blue View. Shout out to the great Mile High Huddle Super Chat Superstars, supporters, and members helping us keep the lights on, like the Papa Bear. And I didn't even see this earlier. It's showing up now. Thank you, Mblex. Gifted a Mile High Huddle membership in the chat. Legend. Thank you, brother. Don Olmstead, Monica in Massachusetts, George Fox, Tucson Phil, Shannon Mills, a newer name. Welcome again, Bronx Steppin', Boot Boy, the Chaos Josh. Much love and respect, guys. I'll see you tomorrow for the gut reaction. And Ron, it's your show. You do the sign off, brother.
Yeah, again, thank you all for tuning in tonight. We greatly appreciate all of you for your support. If you haven't done so, make sure you subscribe to the channel, like and share across all the platforms. We greatly appreciate it. And also become a member. Become a member as well. Get access to exclusive content. And if you have not done so, make sure you follow us, Chad Jensen at Chad and Jensen, and myself at Ron White NFL on X. We greatly appreciate it. So again, that's all for tonight, guys. Thank you so much for tuning in, and we will catch you all next week. Hopefully, it's a good game tomorrow. Hopefully, we come out with a Broncos victory tomorrow. And until then, we will see you next week. Go Broncos.
Go Broncos.